So I got to ask you about the dark turn of that spirituality, or maybe you'll place this elsewhere. But who was Adolfo Costanzo, El Padrino?
This is a guy that comes up in a period. I think he's at that initial period of cartels. This is before my time, and I've talked to some of the people that were there for some of that.
I mean, he killed a lot of people.
He was exposed and learned through his family ties about some of the Afro-Caribbean spiritualities that are now also exploding as far as influences across the world, Latin America and in the U.S. When I talk about that, I mean Santeria, Palo Mayombe, basically some old spiritual practices coming out of Africa that utilize things like ngangas, which are basically spiritual vessels that have to be loaded with human remains in some cases. He was basically a spiritual practitioner that certain cartel groups would hire for them to curse the other side, to imbue them with invisibility, to be able to transport their drugs or protection spells and stuff like that. He was very successful at it, apparently, or at least that is the experience of the people paying for some of these practices. As his spells and his work kept getting bigger and bigger and more complicated, the ingredients he needed for these ngangas or these spells, these cauldrons that he would fill with certain elements, grew in complexity. Till finally he said he needed the brain of a highly educated American of some sort, which led to his eventual downfall. He was basically responsible for abducting and murdering a young American who was a university college student, I think.
Do you think he believed so this guy's murdering people to create what, magical potions?
Vessels, yeah.
Vessels.
I think he truly believed that he was capable of doing what he was doing, I guess.
And there was a culture that's spiritually inclined that kind of was on the same wavelength as him.
Yeah, it jived. I mean, some of these spiritual practices, again, there's a ritualistic cannibalism done by some of these cartel groups out there.
Was he involved in cannibalism as well?
He wasn't involved in cannibalism that I know of, but most of the things that he was kind of known for was basically requesting human body parts for some of the spell works he was doing. And then going to such a level where he needed a specific brain or head of somebody that was educated and American. So that kind of, again, led to his eventual downfall. His ranch was raided. They found the body parts inside of these cauldrons that he was preparing. That's an interesting example of somebody. There's a cartel head somewhere in central Mexico as well. El Más Loco was his nickname. And he basically forced the citizenship around him to turn him into a saint. So he made a statue of himself. He was very big into Christianity, specifically kind of like the crusader, mentality and all of that. Kind of imbued himself and some of the people that were around him with that. And there's still altars to his death, to him after he died. He died two times. One time, the government declared him that he was killing a shootout, and turns out he wasn't dead. So that was his first miracle, And then when he was really dead, some of his people and his loyal followers were like gunpoint, kind of still forced to go and give flowers and venerate these effigies and statues of him as a saint. It's a powerful weapon. Spirituality in Mexico is a powerful weapon, and the Catholic Church in Mexico has a pretty bad track record. But as far as that being used to control populace and stuff like that, and I think it's just another aspect that is being exploited in Mexico in some communities as far as the spirituality and the desperate need for people to believe in something, and how that leads for some people to go into some horrible predatory behavior around it.